Have you ever opened up to someone, just a little, and immediately wished you hadn't? Or maybe someone brought up a detail about your life, and you froze, realizing you never told them that. Why do we share so easily, even when deep down, we know the world may not deserve that access? In today's video, we're diving into something both powerful and unsettling. The 5 types of information you should never share publicly if you care about your safety, your autonomy, or even your life. But this isn't just about keeping secrets. It's about understanding why silence in some moments is stronger than speaking. We'll explore how the wisdom of Stoic philosophy offers a timeless perspective in this age where exposure is currency and privacy is almost extinct. Because sometimes the greatest threat isn't outside of you, it's your own impulse to speak when silence would have served you better. Before we go any further, be sure to hit subscribe and join our Telegram channel for regular insights that support your personal and spiritual evolution. Let's start with the most tempting form of oversharing: wealth and success. In a world that worships visibility, success isn't just a goal anymore, it's a performance. Social media platforms gently, almost innocently, encourage us to broadcast our victories: a promotion, a new house, a luxury car. But here's the truth. Every time you post one of those milestones, you're doing more than sharing. You're signaling. You're sending out a message that says, I have something. And while friends may cheer you on, others, watching silently from the sidelines, may not. These posts don't just attract admiration. Sometimes they attract attention, and not the good kind. Here's the tricky part. You don't have to be flashy to become a target. Even something as ordinary as a job update or a new apartment can hint at opportunity, financial stability, or access. For the wrong person, that's enough. They don't need full details. They just need breadcrumbs, and social media is full of them. The ancient Stoics were deeply aware of this dynamic, even centuries ago. They warned us not to confuse virtue with performance. To them, true strength wasn't meant for display. It was meant for discipline. And in our time, that discipline looks like restraint, the quiet satisfaction of private wins, the ability to celebrate in silence, to share joy only with those who've truly earned your trust. Because real power begins when the need to be seen ends. The less others know about your means, the less predictable, and therefore less vulnerable, you become. Which brings us to the next layer of exposure, one even riskier than showcasing wealth: your location. If money makes you a magnet, movement makes you a map. And when those two things combine, you don't just become interesting, you become vulnerable. Every time you post your whereabouts, where you are, or even worse, where you're not, you're handing out a digital trail. A check-in at the airport may seem harmless, but to the wrong eyes it says, my home is unattended. A beautiful photo from a resort might look like a postcard, but to someone watching, it's an open invitation. This isn't fear-mongering, it's modern awareness. Criminals today don't need to follow you in person. They follow your patterns: a gym schedule, a favorite cafe, a predictable commute. Once your routine is visible, it becomes exploitable. The Stoics anticipated this kind of danger long before smartphones ever existed. Marcus Aurelius taught that our actions should come from intention, not impulse, that we must train ourselves to pause and reflect before we share. So ask yourself, is that photo worth the cost of visibility? Does the fleeting thrill of being seen justify the lasting risk of being tracked? Remember, sharing where you were is far safer than sharing where you are. And that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle. Another type of information we give away far too easily, often without realizing its weight. In the last section, we uncovered how simply sharing your location, whether intentionally or not, can put you at risk. But what if the most dangerous thing you reveal isn't where you are, but how you protect yourself? Let's explore the next layer of exposure: your security systems. In a time where smart tech is in every home and preparedness is a bragging right, People love to show off their latest upgrades. The sleek new doorbell cam, the biometric safe, the phone-controlled alarm system. It all feels responsible, even impressive. But here's the twist. The more you talk about your security, the more you turn it into a blueprint. Because when you publicly describe how you protect yourself, you're not just sharing, you're instructing. You're giving others a step-by-step manual on how to disarm you. You might think you're sending a message that says, I'm safe, but to someone with bad intentions, what they hear is, here's how I work. And it doesn't take an Instagram post to do damage. Even casual, offhand comments can carry weight. You say you always forget to lock the back door, or that you don't have a dog because you're not a pet person. To you, it's just conversation. To someone listening, it's information. The Stoics warned us about this kind of unintentional vulnerability long before smart homes or security apps existed. Epictetus taught that we should never flaunt our treasures, but protect them. And in this case, your treasure isn't just money or valuables. It's your sense of safety. You don't owe strangers a tour of your defenses. You don't owe the internet an inside look at your fortress. Because security, when real, is invisible. The most dangerous doors aren't the ones without locks. They're the ones whose locks you've described out loud. But if you think the only kind of protection you need is physical, think again. Because sometimes the most personal leaks don't happen through doors or devices. They happen through your heart. We live in a world that celebrates vulnerability, and in the right spaces, with the right people, it can be healing. Opening up to a therapist, a close friend, or a trusted group can lead to connection and growth. But when that same vulnerability is laid bare in public spaces, online forums, comment sections, open videos, it doesn't just invite empathy, it invites exploitation. The moment you openly share your trauma, your fears, your health struggles, or family wounds in unguarded places, you hand others the tools to manipulate you. Not because you're weak, but because you're generous. And not everyone who listens is listening to help. Some are listening to use. Not all predators come with force. Many come with patience. They notice when you say your father passed away last year. They remember that your child walks home from school. They log the detail that you feel unsafe living alone. You may have said it casually. They heard it as an opportunity. And that's what makes emotional exposure so dangerous. It's subtle. It doesn't look like a mistake, but in the wrong hands, even your most human moments can be twisted into weapons. The Stoics understood this too. Seneca wrote that we should not confide in everyone, and that wisdom lies in knowing when, where, and with whom to speak. Stoicism doesn't ask us to be cold. It asks us to be careful, to treat our story the way we would our home, not locked down with fear, but protected with intention. So if you've experienced hardship, and most of us have, don't feel pressured to share it all. Honor that pain by guarding it. Share only with those who've earned the right to carry that weight. Because silence doesn't always mean hiding. Sometimes silence is a choice, a statement. It says, I don't owe you everything. I know what's valuable, and I choose what I reveal. In a world where oversharing is rewarded and boundaries are blurred, discretion is no longer just wise, it's vital. These aren't just safety tips. They're ancient truths, resurfacing in a digital age where exposure has become the new danger. So pause, reflect. What are you giving away without realizing what it might cost? Stoicism doesn't ask for paranoia. It asks for presence. It teaches awareness, precision, control. And when we begin to live that way, we stop being so easy to read. We start becoming unshakable. If this resonates with you, don't just scroll on. Comment below. What's one thing you've decided to stop sharing starting today? You never know. Your boundary might inspire someone else to draw their own. And if you're committed to building a life of intention in a noisy world, subscribe to the Daily Stoic. This is where we build clarity, cultivate inner strength, and create a new kind of quiet power. But there's still more to explore, Because sometimes the most personal thing you can protect isn't what you have or how you feel, it's what you believe. And that's exactly where we're headed next.